Hey, Jaden Fox here, and I want to answer the question that I was presented with. Why do people choose to be transgender? Tricky, trappy question. I want to give you first my perspective. I have a unique perspective on it, having spent probably about 40 some odd years of my life exploring being transgendered, um, though we didn't have the word for it back then. Uh, it's like having explored that and having found a way, figuring out why it is that way for me and how to change that, and actually having changed it, I have a, a different perspective than I think most people might. And part of it, the question doesn't seem fair because it feels like it's a choice. But if you're transgender, there's nothing about it that feels like a choice. Nothing. Like you have this masculine energy in your body and you have this feminine energy in your body, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. That's what it feels like. Like there's just like it's there, and you can either struggle with it or you can align with it. But no matter what you do, whether you're aligning with the masculine energy or you're aligning with the feminine energy, there's always one of them that seems to not um, feel okay. And it's a matter of how do you adjust it in such a way that it works the best for your life. And like, how do you make it work? And how do you deal with the voices and the confusion and the complication that's going on? And so, if you've ever been I, transgender, there's no part of you that would even ask, like, how am I choosing this? Um, it's a question that other people ask of you. Like, why did you choose to be transgender? And from that, it's a naive question because you don't feel like you have choice. But what if you do actually have choice? It's not readily available and it's not really obvious. But what if becoming more aware of how this transgender thing is functioning and how it actually works could potentially give you a choice? I'm not going to say that this is for everybody. I have not talked to every transgender person on the planet. I don't know everybody's story. Um, I have engaged quite a few of them, and I've had quite a few friends who are transgender. And having untangled this for myself, it's become simpler to understand. I want to say there's no part of me that wants to make being transgender wrong in any way. If I had to do it again, I think I still would explore it. There's something fascinating about being able to perceive the world through the masculine and the feminine lens at the same time. Yet it's an inner torture that I wouldn't wish on maybe my worst enemies. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It's like, it's not fun. There's nothing fun about it. There's nothing enjoyable about it that I could find. Um, you get abused by the people around you in the worst ways. You find the inhumanity of man showing itself all around you in just horrific ways. You did. Most people who've never explored with being transgender have no clue how cruel other humans can be to other humans. If you've explored being transgender, you understand cruelty and just how evil people can be with other people, especially when you're young, especially kids. And whether they intend to be or not, that's a topic for another conversation. But um, the most abuse and the most horrific time in my life was being in this struggle and being in school with other kids who just torture you mercilessly, um, randomly. And I'm going to put all that aside because I don't want to get stuck on that for the moment. I want to answer this question: why do they choose to be transgender? Um, it may appear that way. With the choosing that they're doing is they've got these different viewpoints in their body about masculine and feminine. It's like, what do you do with that? Like, you've got a stronger, most people who express transgender, and I didn't overtly express it because it wasn't that strong. The masculine part of me, the more natural, or the one that aligned with my biological gender, the masculine, was stronger in me than the feminine was. The feminine was weaker. And so the feminine didn't have a strong enough pull to dominate the situation. But for some people, the feminine part of themselves has a stronger pull and wants to express and needs to express and has this strong opinion about being in the wrong body. And this concept of choice is like, well, what do you do with that? And so many transgender people explore with the different sides, and what you ultimately end up doing is expressing the one that has the strongest voice. Like, what else do you do with that? How else do you manage that if you don't know any different than I've got these two different energies, and at least two, and I've got to figure out how to deal with these different things. So that to me is the complication. And what I've learned in hindsight is that if a person's willing to become aware and willing to kind of step out of the programming of this entire reality, step out of the matrix, if you will, the red pill, blue pill thing, if you're willing to go beyond the illusions of this reality, and I'm not suggesting it, it's not necessarily enjoyable, but it's different. You can become aware of things beyond this reality. And from that space, you start to recognize that what if there's those two different energies, that masculine and feminine energy, are like multiple souls in a body or multiple spirits in a body. And I'm not going to talk about that here because I don't want to tangle this anymore than it's already tangled. But if that's something that you want to go further in exploring, feel free. I've got other videos that are all linked together here where you can explore further. But if you're asking this question about why people choose, the answer that I have for you is because they don't actually have a choice, or they're not aware that they have a choice, or the choice is not forthcoming. Like, they have done everything they can. It's not something they want to experience. It's something that showed up in their life, and they don't know anything but that. And they're expressing it because this is the strongest energy that's there, and what else do I do with that? Like, what do I do with feeling like I'm a woman in a man's body, or I'm a man in a woman's body? Like, what do you do with that? Well, you do the best you can with that. The choice is in, like, dealing between these two polar opposites that are in you that you don't seem to have any control over. And, like, you just find the best way you can to express that. So it's a complicated question, and from people who are not being transgendered, I would say recognize that they don't have a choice, or they're not in a space in their life where a choice is available to them. They have these two discordant energies, and they're just doing the best they can to make sense of the weird shit that's going on inside their body and their life. And give them space, honor what if they are choosing to explore being a man in a woman's body, then, and they choose to be called by a feminine name, then honor that. If they want to be called by a masculine name, then honor that. Give them the space to explore and untangle that without your judgment of it. Your judgment of it does not support them. It does not assist them. It just makes their life more hell, makes their life more difficult. Give them space. Honor their request. If they want to be treated as a man or a woman, and that's not their biological gender, give them that. Like, how fucking hard is it to call them by a different name? Not a big deal. Give them the honor of assisting them by just like giving them that capacity. Okay? That's my suggestion to not transgender. If you're transgender and you're dealing with this and you're enjoying it, stop the video here. Don't continue. Just do your thing, explore, and like see where this goes for you. If, however, you are transgender and you don't like this has not been a beneficial experience, and you want to change this, then go further in other videos that I have, and I'll go deeper into my experience of what I found was going on for me. And I'm not saying it's going on for everybody, but I've bumped into the high percentage of the people that I've interacted with who engage transgender or have this thing going on. This is real for them. So I'll put that in a different video, because it's like I don't want to put the spoiler in this video. So yeah, if I've said it already, I'd be redundant. People don't choose overtly to be transgender. They're just dealing with this stuff that they're dealing with, and they're doing the best they can. Support them in any way you can to do the best they can.